3 times in the last 100 years, the smartest money in the world made the exact same mistake, and the pattern is repeating right now. In 1929, people borrowed everything they had to buy stock in a single company, built on a technology they barely understood. And within 3 years, it had lost 98% of its value. But this isn't a story about that company. It's about a pattern. 4 steps that repeat almost perfectly every time a new technology promises to change the world. Radio, the internet, crypto. The same 4 steps every single time. By the end of this video, you'll be able to spot those 4 steps yourself, including where they might be playing out right now.
In the early 1920s, radio was magic. For the first time in human history, a voice could travel through the air into millions of homes at once. Nobody had seen anything like it, and Wall Street noticed. The company at the center of it all was the Radio Corporation of America, RCA. To investors, RCA wasn't just a business, it was the future itself. And when people believe they're buying the future, they stop asking what a thing is actually worth. Across the 1920s, RCA's stock rose roughly 200-fold, one of the largest run-ups in market history. It never paid a single dividend, and at its peak in September 1929, it traded at more than 70 times its earnings. The joke at the time was that you didn't even need a real business. Just put the word radio in your company's name and the stock would climb. That should have been the warning. Then came October 1929. The market broke, and RCA, the great symbol of tomorrow, collapsed with it, eventually falling about 98% from its peak. It would not see those highs again for roughly 30 years. Here's the part that matters. Radio itself was real. Through it all, the technology kept spreading. American homes with a radio set grew from under 3 million to over 10 million by 1929. Radio delivered. The bubble was never about whether radio worked. It was about the price people were willing to pay for a dream.
Fast forward 70 years. Same script, new technology. In the late 1990s, the internet arrived with the same intoxicating promise radio once had. This changes everything. And it did. But once again, the technology being real was never the question. Money flooded into anything with a .com in its name. Companies with no profits, sometimes no products, went public and were valued in the billions. The logic was simple and seductive. Get big fast, worry about money later. One name became the symbol of it all. A company that sold pet supplies online, ran a famous Super Bowl ad, and went from a market value of over $300 million to zero in under a year. Even the giants weren't safe. Cisco, briefly the most valuable company on earth, lost around 80% of its value when the mood turned. On March 10th, 2000, the Nasdaq peaked at just over 5,000. Then it fell and kept falling, dropping nearly 80% over the next 2.5 years and erasing more than $5 trillion in paper wealth. And yet, the internet went on to reshape civilization, and the survivors of that crash became some of the largest companies in history. The bubble didn't kill the technology. It killed the people who confused a real revolution with a guaranteed payday.
Now bring it to a moment you might actually remember. 2021. A new technology promised to rewire money itself. Crypto was going to make banks obsolete, turn art into code, and mint a new generation of millionaires overnight. The energy was familiar because it was the same energy. Pictures of cartoon apes sold for the price of houses. Strangers became evangelists, and the fear of missing out did the rest. At the peak, in November 2021, a single Bitcoin was worth nearly $70,000. Then the mood turned, as it always does. Through 2022, the value bled away. Bitcoin would slide to around $16,000. And one of the most trusted names in the space, an exchange valued at $32 billion with more than 1 million customers, collapsed in a matter of days, taking real people's real savings with it. Was the underlying technology worthless? That's still being argued,
But the bubble, the part where price detached completely from reality, followed the script to the letter.
So here are the 4 steps. Watch how cleanly they repeat. 1. A real breakthrough. Radio, the internet, crypto, each was genuinely new. That's what makes it work. The story has to be true enough to believe. 2. The story outruns the substance. People stop buying the technology and start buying the narrative. This changes everything, becomes, and that's why the price can only go up. 3. Easy money pours in. Borrowed money, strangers' money, money from people who can't explain what they bought. The crowd becomes the proof. 4. Reality returns. Not because the technology failed, but because the price was a fantasy, and fantasies have a deadline. Notice what survives each time. The technology, radio, the web, and yes, probably crypto in some form. What gets destroyed is the belief that a real revolution and a safe investment are the same thing. They almost never are. 3 technologies, 100 years apart, the same 4 steps. I'm not going to tell you what's a bubble today. You've now seen the pattern. You can watch for it yourself. That's the whole point. If this way of looking at technology through the story behind the story is something you want more of, that's exactly what this channel does. The next one is about who actually gets rich in a gold rush, and the answer surprised me. Until then, stay curious and stay skeptical.